I regret to inform you that David Jaffe is at it again.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
So, a few months back in October, I made a video on David Jaffe and his absolutely brain-dead Metroid Dread takes. He got stuck in a room while doing a live stream and got really pissed off because he had not paid attention to the tutorial and didn't know how to get through, threw a big hissy fit about it.
Oh, why would I know that?
Rage quit.
Fuck you, Metroid. You're a piece of shit. Absolute piece of shit.
And was so mad about it that he started making videos talking about how horrible Metroid Dread is. And he got massive pushback because Metroid Dread's a really good game.
I don't know how this is acceptable. People are coming at me on Twitter like, that's Metroid. It's always been Metroid. Then it's shit. It's shit design.
Nope,
I'm sorry, but there's a...
And the reason why he failed was because he was an idiot. He made such a big deal about getting stuck in that one particular room that they named it after him on the Metroid wiki. People have been talking about this since the whole Jaffe incident initially happened, but people wanted to name that room the Jaffe Room because he made such a stink about getting stuck in it, and the speedrunners always like to name different rooms in Metroid games. So this is now known as the Jaffe Room, which I find to be freaking hilarious. But he got really angry about it, was making all sorts of videos and tweets and stuff. He refused to let it go. He refused to admit he was wrong. He refused to admit that he made any mistakes. And he was just a complete nuisance about it. Now, eventually, the whole thing kind of died down. I ended up making my video, posting that in late October, and I stopped paying attention to him. I heard he was doing some stupid stuff. He's done a lot of stupid stuff, but I didn't want to keep paying attention to him and making videos about every little stupid thing that he did, because he did a lot of stupid things. He makes stupid tweets. And we're going to talk about one in particular. And this was like the first thing that I had heard about after I made my video and I was done. He also does some stuff recently that's
Stop! You didn't have to post that. The best time to delete it was before we even read it. But the second best time is now.
Let's just say it's dumb. It's really dumb. Oh my gosh, Jaffe, what? But we're not going to be talking about that.
None of us really understand what just happened, and none of us want to. Now, if anyone goes asking around about the events of the last few days, what do we say?
Never mind all that.
So there were numerous things that had happened with David Jaffe, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to make a video on him. I was kind of done with him after my first video. So, he said stupid stuff on Twitter like he normally does. There was something else that he did a couple of months ago, and we'll get to that real quick. But I was so tempted to make a video, and I ended up making a thumbnail, which is the thumbnail for this video. I started making that, a couple months ago. But I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to make another video on him. And then he releases another Metroid Dread video. And I thought, you know what? Now is the perfect time. So the first thing I want to talk about is in relation to a tweet he made about the Game Awards. Now, Metroid Dread won an award and he was not happy about it. Of course. He couldn't let it go. So this was in December, and he makes a tweet saying that the only reason that Metroid Dread got that award was because it was a sympathy vote, because, the guy who made the NES and SNES died. He can try to say, I'm just joking. You know what we call that? We call it Schrodinger's douchebag. If people were agreeing with him, he wouldn't have said it was a joke. But because he got ratioed, he doesn't want to actually take responsibility for what he said. What he said was in poor taste. Regardless of the reason why he did it, he could have been trying to make a joke. It wasn't a good one, and it was in extremely poor taste to try to dredge up the fact that this guy had just died and then trying to use that to crap on Metroid Dread. That's just flat out in bad taste. And that's just where we're starting today's video. I actually want to show you something. So let's go to David Jaffe's YouTube channel. Okay, we're here. We're looking at David Jaffe's YouTube channel. So you can see right here he made his new video. And a few months back, I wanted to go and check his view numbers of what he was getting with his videos. Because he made such a big deal about it in his last video that he made when I was still making my video. The one that I didn't particularly cover, I just sort of tacked it on at the end. Where he was like bragging about how, oh, I'm getting so much engagement from this and I'm doing so well. It was, the smug Wojak face over the crying face. So I wanted to go and I wanted to look at his videos and say, alright, I want to look at the before and after his Metroid videos, if he really got this big bump in views. So a couple of months back, I went to his YouTube channel and I decided to search Metroid. That's weird. 2 results? And one of them is the video he just made. So back when I did this, I only got 1 response, which was this video he did talking to Washington Post games reporter Gene Park. If you don't know who Gene Park is, the only thing you need to know is that he's a game journalist from the Washington Post, and he defends The Last of Us Part 2. You don't need to take him seriously, and I'm not surprised that he went on with David Jaffe. He sounds like someone who David Jaffe would get along really well with. But then I was like, wait a minute. Where are his Metroid videos? Okay, here we see this is the stream that he was playing when he was playing Metroid Dread and he rage quit. And I remember this stream of Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. But between these videos, there should be his Metroid videos. I thought, that's weird. Did he delete them? Did he private them? Are they unlisted? I was thinking, did he actually delete them or private them? Because I was like, oh my gosh, that would have been hilarious, especially because of how smug he was. Which is funny because he was smug after the release of the Japanese video that was, oh, here are some tips on how to play Metroid Dread.
Oh, what's this? Oh yeah. Thanks for letting people know
But
that. Now,
then,
let me just...
the English version came out, and it actually sounded kind of sassy, and there have actually been shots at David Jaffe. They were subtle jabs. They weren't, openly calling him out, but, on different Nintendo, Twitters, they were taking shots at David Jaffe. So Nintendo absolutely knew about this, and they very clearly were like, do you need someone to tell you how to shoot a hidden block? Here's how you do it. And I wonder if that's why he decided to hide them. But I was wondering, I had to solve this mystery. What happened to these videos? I'm like, okay, well, they're not there, so I didn't have any links on hand, except I do. You see, when I made my video, I decided to include links of all of the videos that I used, including David Jaffe's videos, in case someone wanted to actually go for themselves and watch those videos. And you can see I wasn't just taking things out of context. You can watch the whole videos. Now you can't. But I decided, you know what? Let me go to that. So I went to my video and I scrolled down and let's pick a video. And oh, members only content. So that's what he did to his videos. They're all members only now. Now that's funny. He was so smug. I mean, I knew it was a fake smug before, but he was so smug before in that last video. Talking about how he's getting so much engagement. Which, by the way, if you want to look at engagement, looking at his view counts before, you can see, all right, 11K, 4.2K, 9.9K, 8.5K, 2.6, it's all over the place. And then his Metroid videos were getting a lot of views, like tens of thousands of views, which is probably why he kept making them. He's thinking, oh, well, I'm going to get so many views from this. But okay, let's just look after that. Okay, 3.1, 8.5, 3.9, 1.8, 3.1, 12K, 3.9. He didn't get a massive bump. He only got it for those videos because they were going to downvote his videos about Metroid Dread. And I said, after the interest is gone, people will stop going to his channel. They'll stop interacting with him. And he'll go back to what he normally has, which is what happened. And I find it funny that all these videos that he was bragging about, getting so much interaction with, they're all hidden now. And only the people who are members and giving him money can watch them. So the average layperson can't just find these videos. Not even to hate watch them.
But to all the haters, thank you. My views are up, my revenue is up, my engagement is up, and all new subscribers have come to me who have been like, oh, I didn't know you had a channel. I found it through the Metroid thing. I like your channel. It's awesome. Subscribe, membership. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. I fully expect this video to be downvoted to hell, and I also expect you to comment. Please do continue to support my channel in your own moronic way.
Now, there are a couple of reasons why he might have done this. And the first one, which I think is the most likely, is he actually did get embarrassed by the blowback. And especially after the English version of that tips video came out, he was like, oh crap, they actually are calling me out, and decided to hide them. You know, or in general, he was just embarrassed by the blowback, and he was like just trying to hide it so that people didn't see it. And if he contradicts himself later on, that people couldn't go back and check his videos. But I just find it so funny that he did this. And when I first discovered this, I almost made a video about this right then and there. But I decided to hold off on it because I wasn't quite sure. He's made these videos very hard for the average person to watch.
Hey, Jaffe, I have all of those videos on my computer. I have them saved because I had to save them because I made my video. So I needed them in order to pull clips from. And you know what? I could pull clips anytime I want if, say, I don't know, you contradicted yourself. You know, maybe. I mean, I can look back on these videos anytime I want. Not that I not that I really want to, because those videos are miserable to watch. But I can. I got them. I can watch them anytime I want.
But ultimately, I didn't decide to make the video then. And I thought, man, maybe I'll do it later. And then he puts out another video. This one was talking about the Metroid Dread update that was revealed in the recent Nintendo Direct. The one talking about Rookie Mode and Dread Mode. And I thought, I gotta do it now. I gotta do it. Now, I'm not recording this immediately after I saw that. There was other stuff I did want to do. But I had to make a video on this because I had to take a look at this video. And unlike the last video where I covered like 6 of his videos in one video, so I wasn't specifically responding to every point in all the videos. I talked more generally about it in the different points that he made in his videos. But this one, since it's an individual video and it's very short, it's only like 4 minutes long, I thought, you know what? I want to actually respond to this video. So let's take a look at this new video talking about Metroid Dread's update. And I don't have high hopes for this.
Hello, fellas. It's Jaffe. It's good to see you. Nintendo just had their Nintendo Direct. There's a live stream of it. You can watch us watch it if you're interested in such malarkey. But I will say I wanted to speak to Metroid Dread.
Okay, talk about Metroid Dread. I do hope that with that introduction that most of this video is going to be about Metroid Dread.
There was an announcement. The first announcement was they're adding like a super hard mode, Dread mode or something, where if you get hit once you're dead, it's game over. I guess there are humans on the planet that are into such nonsense. It's a quick change in the code. Fine, fuck it, whatever.
I know we make jokes about David Jaffe being this like boomer, but like for someone who's been in the video game like sphere, like the whole community, not even just as a developer but as a gamer and stuff, for a very long time, I don't know why he's so surprised at the idea of a challenge mode or like really hard modes. Even this kind of stuff isn't even unique. And for someone like him who's played like Soulsborne games and is sort of into those, he should know that challenge runs are done quite a lot. There are people who will go through them and play them like without getting hit. Like this is just an official mode for stuff like that. I don't know why he's acting so shocked at this. Insert joke about David Jaffe not knowing anything about video games.
I was like, really? Good God. But then the dark clouds of Metroid Dread begin to part, and they say, but for people who are new to the series, and I'm like, oh, this has got me written all over it. I'm excited. We have rookie mode. And I was like, oh, fantastic. And at first they're like, okay, well, rookie mode is, I guess they're changing the currency of like health and how much things cost and how much damage you can take. So it's not as punishing. And that's good. That's welcomed. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I bet you're excited about an easier mode. Now, I don't know if what they showed in the trailer for rookie mode is going to be the only changes, because they showed you getting more health per health pickup. And I don't know if they're going to make a bunch of other different changes, or if it's just going to be basic stuff like, enemies do a lot less damage and you have a lot more health and stuff like that. Maybe Nintendo will give an update about this, but especially this being just reacting to the trailer, yeah, okay, that's all they really showed. But we're about to get into something a little bit more fun.
But I still, ultimately that's not the problem with Metroid. Let's be fucking clear. The problem with Metroid is the map's really overwhelming and confusing to read compared to other maps in Metroidvania series. It is an absolute clusterfuck on the eyes.
No, it's not. What? Like he's talked about this before. He talked about this in his videos. He insults the map of Metroid Dread and says it was really bad. Okay, no. Like, even if you're not using the actual, like, pause screen map and you're just looking at the map, the game does a pretty good job of leading you to where you need to go. Like, the overall design of the map is really freaking good. And if you want to talk about the actual map screen, this is one of the best map screens I've seen in a Metroidvania game, especially if you're just talking about the Metroid games. If you look at a lot of the old Metroid games, and even like little Castlevania games, a lot of the maps were very simple. It would show you like the basic shape of the rooms, and you can see like sort of the general way you can go around, but sometimes it would just not give you some important details or not tell you if a door was locked in some games. Metroid Dread actually has a very detailed map. It's not confusing. It's extremely helpful. This is one of the best maps I've seen in a Metroidvania game, and it actually helped me memorize the layout of the different areas way easier than I have in any other Metroid or Castlevania or Metroidvania game at all. Like, and I've been going through some of the other Castlevania games with Angel in, and we completed Harmony of Dissonance, we're playing Lament of Innocence, and there are some times when details are just not in that map. You have to just remember them, and it can be very confusing at times. Metroid Dread makes it really simple. And I want to make it clear, those aren't bad maps. Having those maps is helpful, because if there weren't any maps at all, it would be really confusing. And it would take forever to get around from anywhere, because you're trying to check how you can get from one spot to another. Sometimes you may run into a dead end, and you'd have to hike all the way back and figure out your way around. But I'm just saying that the map in Metroid Dread is really good. It's very detailed, allows you to highlight icons. Yes, Adam Sessler, you can highlight icons. It shows you details of those areas, so you can very easily see what's in each area without being in it. It's very helpful. And to complain about the map is absolutely absurd.
The more important one, though, is the game does onboarding really poorly. And I don't care if you disagree or not, because you're simply fucking wrong.
Big words from a guy who's been consistently wrong over and over and over on this. Onboarding. Basically just teaching you the mechanics. Metroid Dread does that. The problem is that David Jaffe just didn't pay attention to the tutorial. Especially the tutorial on hidden blocks, which tells him that hidden blocks are in the game, gives him an example of hidden blocks and how to get through them. And it also makes sure to tell you that, hey, if you're in a dead end, you might try shooting around, just to see if you hit any hidden blocks. He didn't take this. He didn't even want to play the game how it's supposed to be played. You can't talk about, oh, well, this game didn't teach me the mechanics, when he has specifically said he refused to engage with those mechanics and tried to play the game like Mega Man.
And I've already talked about, the pathfinding of the creature. I killed it when it wasn't underneath the thing. People are like, well, you should aim. It's like, yeah, I know that. I don't like the aiming in this game because the Joy-Cons. My Joy-Cons may have drift. It doesn't matter. I don't like it. Okay, so if I can get away with shooting normally like Mega Man, I'll do that more often. Okay?
So don't try that, David Jaffe. Don't.
Okay, I can show you. I'm not going to argue with you anymore.
Really? You don't want to argue anymore? Then why are you making this video? Just so that you can dunk on Metroid Dread again? We know why he's making this. He's trying to get more of those views back up. He's not getting them. Especially when you look at this video and it's only got like 6.5k views. It's not doing gangbusters. And it's so funny that he keeps doing this thing where he's just like, well, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm not going to argue with you. You argued so much. The reason why you don't want to argue anymore is because you kept losing. And he kept just trying to dismiss everyone else by like, oh, well, you aren't actually an official professional game developer like me.
Maybe, you know what, I in a lot of ways, I think that is a difference between me having worked in games and other people not. Maybe gamers just look at this like it's the gamer's problem. I look at this like it's the developer's problem. Like, this is an absolute poorly tuned game. I'm sorry, you don't release a game that plays shitty with the controller that most people have.
You guys don't know what you're talking about. Metroid fans are, just being so mean to me. And like, dude, you're the one who picked this fight. You're just angry that people responded to you in a way you didn't want.
It does onboarding poorly. Here's another game that I adore, by the way, that does onboarding poorly. Bloodborne. I'm playing the fuck out of Bloodborne. It has become one of my favorite games I've ever played since being alive and playing my first game back in 1975, which was called Boot Hill. What a fucking gem of a goddamn game. And it took me years of trying and stopping and trying and stopping and trying and stopping before I happened to be streaming it one night because I was excited for Elden Ring as much as I was frustrated by Bloodborne because I love Demon Souls. I'm like, maybe I just got to give it another chance.
So, Jaffe, just curious, would you say that you would call that persevering?
I don't want to persevere.
Giving a game another chance after having difficulty with it, you know what? That's fine. No one's going to complain that you had difficulty with something. But he's never going to give Metroid Dread that second chance. His second chance that he tried to give it on stream was just him trying to talk about how bad it was. It's just funny how he's talking about, sticking with something. He made it clear he didn't want to stick with Metroid Dread. He just wanted to bash on it.
And I'm streaming it, and someone walks me through how to level up in that game. And they're like, well, you have to go to the first boss, but you don't have to beat the first boss, and that gives you insight, and then the insight lets you go back to this fucking doll, and the doll's suddenly alive and you can level up.
You didn't know how leveling up worked in Bloodborne? Well, the game didn't specifically tell me all this stuff. Look, there are times when stuff happens in a game and you don't know what to do. And you know what? That's fine. And sometimes you may have missed it. You may have not understood something. It may not have told you. But you know what you could do? You could go online and look at a walkthrough. You could go online and see someone explain it. There are plenty of people who write extremely detailed walkthroughs and explain all of the different mechanics, even not just the obvious ones, but even some hidden, unseen mechanics and calculations and stuff, and how to take advantage of that stuff. You'll see a lot of that stuff online. You could have just Googled, how to deal with that stuff in Bloodborne.
I literally have seen people in this game as an excuse going, "Oh well, Jaffe, it's your problem, dude. If you're stuck, you should just use a guide or use the internet." I'm like, "Are you serious? Who has hurt you? Who in the game design world has hurt you and caused you to go?" Maybe it's just going into GameStop all these years in your formative years where it's like, "Hey, you want to buy the guide with that game?" No, I don't. The game should be one-stop shopping. If I buy a game, anything and everything I need to know, I don't need. There shouldn't be a prerequisite of having played the series in the past. There shouldn't be a prerequisite of like, well, you need to have, a guide opened up in order to play. Fuck off. This is not, learning to play golf and you buy the golf clubs, but you're going to need a teacher and you're going to need to read some books. This is a fucking video game that is all inclusive. So no, I'm sorry. I'm not looking for hand holding. I'm just looking for good design.
But, like, you're telling me you played this on and off all this time and you never understood how basic leveling up worked? Like, okay, maybe he didn't notice that sometimes you can gain insight just by walking in and seeing something. Okay, right, maybe he missed that. He misses a lot of things. But, like, he didn't understand how that stuff worked at all? I would want to say I don't find that believable, but this is David Jaffe. This is a guy who completely missed words on a screen telling him stuff in a tutorial because he's just like, words I have to read? Oh my gosh, Jaffe.
I'm sorry, what? Onboarding is shit in that fucking game. Now, you could argue that game, it's intentional. I don't think it's meant to be that intentional. It's disastrous.
Really? Bloodborne, a beloved game that sold millions of copies, was disastrous? Jaffe, I think it's just you.
But once you get past that, and once you realize you can play it like an RPG, and you maybe even should play it like an RPG, you can either, quote, get good and beat it without ever taking a hit, and beat it with a character that's not leveled at all if you really fucking get good.
Okay, so he's completely misinterpreting what get good is, because he's thinking that get good means, oh, this is like the most top tier, hardest challenges in the game kind of stuff. No. When people tell you to get good, Jaffe, what they're saying is get good enough to play the game and beat the game. You can still use all the mechanics in the game, level up, get all the best gear, the best weapons, the best armor, and all that stuff, and then beat the game. Yeah, but the philosophy of get good, and I know it sounds a little silly to call it a philosophy, but the philosophy of get good is I run into a challenge in a game. This game is hard, it's tough, it's kicking my butt, but I stick at it, I get good, I figure out what I need to do, I prepare better, and then I beat that challenge. And then I keep getting better and better, and then I beat the game. That is getting good. Getting good doesn't mean you have to be the top 1% of the top 1% of players. It just means getting good enough to beat the game. People say that with games like Dark Souls, because if you want to beat the game, you gotta get good. That doesn't mean you need to be the greatest player of all time. You just need to get through it. And sure, sometimes you may get through by the skin of your teeth, but as long as you beat that obstacle, as long as you overcame that challenge, you got good. You didn't need to skip it. You didn't need to quit. You stuck at it. You persevered, and you got good. He's trying. I wouldn't be surprised if this was like him trying to address people telling him to get good by like, oh, well, actually what get good is this, when no, that's not what it is.
Or you can do like I do, which is like when I play a normal RPG, I'm like, oh, I'm stuck here. One of my options is to grind away for a little bit. And the combat happens to be so fucking enjoyable, I'm down. It's a pleasure to grind the character in Bloodborne, okay? And I'm telling you, Bloodborne, one of my favorite games of all time at this point, I can still criticize it. I can still say, yeah, but it has shitty onboarding. How much more successful would it have been if they wouldn't have changed anything? They just would have communicated better to people that already weren't bought in. Okay?
The game sold like 2 million copies. Oh, how much more successful would it have been? I don't know, probably not much more. Like, there's a very particular type of person who plays a Soulsborne game. And, yeah, Bloodborne was really successful. It's a really beloved game. How much more successful would it have been if they had specifically pointed out, you need to level up like this? Probably not much more. It probably wouldn't have affected things. In Jaffe's mind, he's thinking, I didn't understand this, so other people don't understand this, therefore the game would have been more successful if it does the thing I said it should have done.
So you can say what you want about Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread may be brilliant. I understand a lot of people love it. I respect that. That's great. But
No, you don't. You don't respect it at all. You actually take offense to people liking Metroid Dread. Like, it pisses you off, Jaffe. And that's the funny thing about him, is that he always tries to act like, oh, well, you see, I'm being respectful. I'm being professional. I'm the one who's being nice, and everyone else is just being a big meanie to me. When he's just a massive, colossal douchebag all the time.
don't fucking come at me and tell me it's the onboarding is not a problem in that game, because it is.
You see? You see? He's like, oh, well, you see, I'm totally fine with it if you like it. But don't come and tell me. Don't come and tell me that I'm wrong because I'm right and you're wrong. Come on, Jaffe. You're not fooling anyone.
And the map isn't a clusterfuck on the eyeballs, because it is.
No, it's not. Look, I've talked about this earlier, and I talked about this in my last video. The map in Metroid Dread is really freaking good, and it's extremely helpful.
So rookie mode, yeah, but I want Jaffe mode is what I want. I don't even care if you make it easier. What I want is a clarity, a sense of onboarding.
Wait a minute. So, Jaffe, you're admitting that you want this super easy mode that just tells you what to do. You're saying you want something even easier than an easy mode. You want the game to hold your hand? I'm sorry, I distinctly remember you saying quite the opposite before.
So no, I'm sorry. I'm not looking for hand holding. I'm just looking for good design. The game asks so much of you without, people say, oh, you want to have your hand? No, I don't want to hold. Don't hold my fucking hand, motherfucker.
I wonder if stuff like that is why you decided to make the videos very hard for the average person to find.
It's professionalism. Let's be fucking clear.
Okay, I know, we made it like 2 seconds. And professionalism, Jaffe? Professionalism? You're the complete polar opposite of professional. You have been nothing but a raging douchebag, attacking everyone who likes Metroid Dread and trying to bash this game, not because there's an actual problem, but just because you had a problem with something and you just refuse to take responsibility for it. You refuse to acknowledge that you made a mistake, you had a problem, and it was all on you. Don't talk about professionalism, David Jaffe. Don't.
If Miyamoto was still heavily involved and this was Nintendo, come on. And it was now. I know back in the day, but things have changed.
Jaffe, Miyamoto didn't make Metroid. The two guys who you'll see mostly credited with Metroid is the late Gunpei Yokoi and Yoshio Sakamoto. Yoshio Sakamoto, still making these games up to now. He was involved with Dread. If you actually look through all the different Metroid games, the most you'll get for Miyamoto's involvement is like being a producer on Metroid Prime. But if you're just talking about, like, the main games, then no. You'll barely see his name referenced even on the Wikipedia articles. And it's usually for, like, oh, he talked about something years later about it being, like, on Virtual Console or Nintendo Switch Online or something. Jaffe, do your research before you try to come in and start talking about this.
There's no way. Nintendo is usually one of the best companies for onboarding and getting people in and opening up the game and then making it harder and more interesting with the mechanics. They've done a very good job of teaching.
You mean like what they do with Metroid Dread? Like how they specifically use plain text and explicitly tell you certain things in the beginning of the game that teaches you all of the basic mechanics, and then has tutorials for every new piece of gear or weapon or ability you get that tells you how to use it. And for things like the Shine Spark or the Flash Shift, it'll give you the opportunity to test out that ability pretty much immediately so that you can sort of get a feel for it. And all of those tutorials are available in the menu. You can go back into the menus and look at those tutorials if you miss something, which I actually had missed something when I first played the game, and I had to go back and look at the tutorial again and go, oh, I just missed that. I clicked through it too fast and I just didn't notice it. But that was on me. That's not the game's failure. That was me accidentally clicking through on something. But it's still there for you to check out.
You don't fucking tell me Metroid Dread is excellent and I'm the problem.
Metroid Dread is excellent and you're the problem.
I'm not the fucking problem. That design's the problem when it comes to onboarding. Take it easy, fellas. It's good to see you. It's good to be back. I'll see you next week. Bye.
I like how he gets really pissed off about Metroid Dread, and then he's like, oh, well, you know, I'm chill, I'm cool, nice to see you later, yada, 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 and stuff like that. And it's so disingenuous. But, like, I'm not the problem. It's not me. Yes, it is David Jaffe. Like, I would have thought he was, like, trying to capitalize on hate views, but he's really not getting them. And he just can't let this go. He refuses to let his take on Metroid Dread go. He can't even just admit, alright guys, I was really heated back then, but, you know, I'm fine now. Look, it's been several months. He could have spun a story of, okay guys, I took a few months off from this, and look, I know I was really heated for weeks and I was really angry, but look, I decided to calm down, give Metroid Dread another chance, and I realized, okay, like, I made some mistakes. But he doesn't do that because he's got an ego the size of the sun, and he just refuses to take responsibility for his mistakes. And it's like, it's a freaking video game, Jaffe. It's just a game. You can just say, look, I made a mistake. But he's so arrogant, he just can't. Gosh, this is how I feel. Right? This is how I feel dealing with David Jaffe. So yeah, that was predictably as awful as I thought it was going to be. And I find it funny that even in a 4-minute video, he still spends most of the time not talking about Metroid Dread and talking more about Bloodborne, but he still refuses to let go of his mistakes. He refuses to own up to it, and it's sad. Like, it's genuinely pathetic. Like, it was pathetic back in October when the game was new. It's pathetic now, months later, when you still refuse to have the basic level of maturity to just go, yeah, okay, me attacking people over a video game like this, that was dumb. It's just utterly absurd. And honestly, I don't expect David Jaffe to ever admit he was wrong. I don't expect him. I don't expect it. He's going to continue to be an idiot and post idiotic videos and idiotic tweets, and I could probably go through his channel. There's probably like a gold mine of stupidity to make videos on, but I don't really want to make more videos on David Jaffe. I might make another video in the future. If he tries to go after Metroid Dread again, maybe, but that's up in the air. So that's it for this edition of What the Hell is Going On with David Jaffe? So if you want to support me, you can check out my Patreon or my Subscribestar, or you can check out below the video, there's a little join. You can get memberships if you want to support me that way. It's not a big deal, it's just if you want to. But, thank you for watching.
I'm the one who operated a successful YouTube channel. I'm the one who just filed for bankruptcy. I'm the one who didn't pay my taxes. I'm the one